You thought they missed you. You thought they were sitting there, feeling your absence like a wound. But here's the truth. They don't miss you. They miss the benefits, the comfort, the favor, the access. You were the door that opened opportunity. You were the hand that fed. You were the one who showed up. But they never saw you. They only saw what you could provide. And the second that well ran dry, they vanished. They pulled back. They became too busy. They started playing neutral because the value they attached to you was conditional, not based on your heart, not based on your loyalty, not based on your spirit, but on what you could deliver. And the moment you stopped delivering, the mask came off, and now you're sitting there questioning yourself, questioning your worth, wondering what you did wrong. Let me break that lie for you right now. You did nothing wrong except give too much. You forgot the rule of energy. When you give without measure, you attract takers, not partners, not equals, takers. They come with empty hands and full expectations. They feed off your light, but never bring you Sunday. They watch you drown and sip tea because they're not there to help. They're there to benefit. You were their bridge, but they were never willing to be yours. Let that sink in. Every time you bent over backwards to help them, they were measuring how much more they could get. Every favor, every text, every call answered at midnight, they weren't grateful. They were calculating. How long can I ride this out? How much more can I take? It wasn't love. It was leverage. It wasn't respect. It was dependency. And now that you've pulled back, now that you're quiet, now that your hands are empty, now you see who's real. That silence you hear, that void where their concern should be, that's the truth revealing itself. They don't miss you. They miss the benefits. The attention, the support, the resources, the peace you gave them without asking for anything in return. They miss the version of you that sacrificed. But that version died the day you woke up and said, no more. No more fake loyalty. No more one-sided connections. No more being used under the disguise of friendship. And let me tell you something else. You walking away, that was the most powerful move you've ever made. You stopped playing the servant in someone else's movie. You took back your script. You flipped the narrative. And that silence, that awkward distance, that sudden shift in behavior from those who once loved you, that's not because you changed. It's because you stopped letting them benefit. You stopped giving access to someone who couldn't even give you effort. They didn't want you. They wanted the advantages. You were a package deal, and they only ever wanted the free stuff. Let me hit you with a truth that will cut deep. People don't always leave because you're not enough. They leave because they've taken all they could. The well's dry. The favor's done. The access card expired. And now they're searching for their next target. Because takers don't stop taking. They just find new hosts. And you're not a host anymore. You're not a supply chain for broken people. You're not a tool to be used for their survival. You're a force now, a wall they can't climb, a storm they can't predict. So now they whisper. They say you changed. They say you're cold. They say you're different. Good. Let them. Because you didn't come this far to be the same person you were when they walked over you. You came this far to evolve, to unlearn, to detach, to rebuild. And the new version of you, that version is not for everyone. It's not for the leeches. It's not for the beggars. It's not for the ones who only come when they're hungry. This version of you is for the fighters, the builders, the givers who also know how to receive. And that's what makes them uncomfortable. You finally realized your value. You finally saw yourself clear. And the mirror doesn't lie. When you look into it now, you don't see someone who lost friends. You don't see someone who got abandoned. You don't see someone who's alone. You see someone who survived. You see someone who outgrew the need to be needed. You see someone who chose peace over pleasing. And if that makes you the villain in their story, so be it. Let them paint you black if it helps them cope. Let them cry betrayal if it makes them feel justified. But deep down, they know the truth. They lost access. Not because you're selfish, but because you finally got serious. And serious people don't play games. Serious people don't entertain fake love. Serious people don't keep watering dead gardens. Let me ask you something. When you were at your lowest, when you were breaking inside but still showing up, who showed up for you? Who checked on you? Who stayed when the benefits were gone? That's your real tribe. That's your inner circle. Probably only a few. Maybe only one. Maybe no one. And if it was no one, then you just got handed a gift most people never receive. Clarity. Because once you see it, once you know the difference between those who love you and those who love your benefits, you never unsee it. That's when you become dangerous. That's when you start making moves they didn't think you were capable of. That's when you become unstoppable. Because now, you don't give to be liked. You don't help to earn validation. You don't stay to avoid guilt. You give because it's who you are, but only to those who deserve it. You help because you've got the power, but only for those who respect it. You stay because you choose to, not because you're being guilt-tripped, not because you're afraid to walk alone. Because let me tell you, walking alone is better than dragging dead weight. You're not missing out. They are. They lost you. They lost the light, the loyalty, the love, and that's their regret to carry, not yours. Your job now? Keep moving, keep building, keep growing. Don't look back, because if they couldn't appreciate your presence, they're not worthy of your comeback. Let them sit in the silence they created. Let them feel the void you once filled. Because when you pulled your energy back, you didn't just walk away. You took the sun with you. You took the light they basked in, the strength they leaned on, the security they never had to earn. And now, they're shivering in the cold. Not because winter came, but because you left. And they'll try to replace you. They'll look for another giver, another empath, another soul kind enough to tolerate their disrespect. But here's the problem. You were one of one. And what you brought to the table wasn't just the meal. You were the whole damn kitchen. You were the heat. You were the fire. You were the one who built the table they ate from. They can't replicate that because what you gave came from a depth they've never understood. They'll find people who want to take, but not people willing to sacrifice. They'll find mouths to feed them, but not hands that heal them, because you were rare. And now, you're gone. You're no longer the emergency contact for people who wouldn't call you on a normal day. You're no longer a second chance in human form. You're not the backup plan for people who left you as their last option. You changed the rules, and it scares them, because when the benefits go, the masks fall off. Suddenly, the love evaporates. The support fades. The bond disappears. Because the bond was built on conditions. And you were playing with an open heart while they played with open hands. So now you sit with the truth, and it burns, but it also cleanses. Because when you start to see who was using you, you get angry. And that anger, that's the spark of rebirth. That's the flame of reclamation. That's your soul screaming, never again. Never again will you beg for presents. Never again will you shrink to fit into small hearts. Never again will you apologize for outgrowing them, because this pain, this betrayal, this disappointment, it isn't a curse. It's a gift. It's the final push, the catalyst for your evolution. It's life telling you, wake up. They were never really with you. They were with your resources, with your kindness, with your energy. Now you guard those things like they're sacred, because they are. Your energy is expensive. Your time is precious. Your loyalty is royalty. And it should never be handed out like flyers. You're not here to be undervalued. You're not here to be convenient. You're here to build, to rise, to thrive. And anyone who doesn't match that frequency can stay behind. This is your unapologetic era. This is your chapter of intention, of standards, of fire. You don't just let people back in because they miss you, because now you know they don't miss you. They miss the benefits. They miss the version of you that tolerated less. That version is gone, buried, replaced. And this new version, this upgraded, unshakable, battle-hardened you don't owe anybody access. Let them watch from a distance. Let them remember what it felt like to be surrounded by someone real. Because what you gave was holy, and what they did was profane. They spit on gold, and now they're surrounded by dust. They mishandled a blessing and now they're cursed with regret. But don't worry. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove a damn thing. Your success? Your peace? That's the punishment. Because there is nothing louder than a person who was used, becoming untouchable. Nothing hurts a user more than realizing they can never come back. So let them sit with it. Let them romanticize the old version of you while you build the empire they never believed in. Let them replay memories like they were moments of sincerity when you know the truth. They were transactions, and you were the bank. But now, you closed the account. No overdrafts, no forgiveness, no reopening. Because when they had access, they didn't invest. They withdrew again and again until you were empty. But here's what they never expected. You were rebuilding in silence. You were planting seeds while they were burning bridges. You were setting boundaries while they were plotting comebacks. And by the time they realize what they lost, you're gone. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You outgrew them like a snake shedding old skin. You outpaced them like a storm leaving broken trees behind. Because you weren't just healing, you were training. You were becoming sharper, stronger, colder, not bitter, just unforgiving to those who disrespected your worth. And now that they're watching, let them sit in their silence. Let them drown in the very emptiness they created. They had access to you, and that was the highest form of privilege, but they threw it away like it meant nothing. And now, it means everything, because once a giver becomes guarded, the doors don't reopen. Once a heart becomes wise, it doesn't accept crumbs. And once a soul finds peace, it never goes back to chaos. Let that be your truth. Let that be your motivation. You don't have to scream to make a statement. You don't have to post subliminals or wage war. You just have to win. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. Because when you do, they'll feel it. They'll remember. They'll regret. But by then, you won't even care. Because by then, you'll be too busy thriving. You know what hurts more than being left? Realizing you were only valuable when you were available. They didn't love you. They loved your presence, your support, your compliments, your effort. They loved the way you made them feel, not who you were. So now you understand. Now it clicks. They never really saw you. They only saw what they could take. And when the giving stopped, so did their love. And that's not love at all. That's dependency. That's access addiction. That's selfishness dressed up as connection. So what do? You become the version of yourself they prayed you'd never become. Unaffected, unreachable, unapologetic. Because now you operate on a different frequency. You no longer entertain the half-hearted. You no longer answer to guilt trips, pity games, or fake concern. You are not a rehab center for emotionally immature people. You are not a healing station for chaos junkies. You are a fortress, a storm, a force of nature. They can't manipulate what they can't access. They can't abuse what's no longer theirs. You took control back, and that's what scares them. That's what keeps them lurking, not because they love you, but because they can no longer control you. You broke the cycle, and cycles don't break easy. They snap with pain. They tear with violence. It's an inner war between who you were trained to be and who you were born to become. And now you've chosen. You chose you. You chose peace over proof, boundaries over burnout, standards over sugarcoating. And look at what that created. A version of you so strong, so focused, so pure, they wouldn't recognize it if they walked into it face first. This is the you that builds empires in silence, that smiles at old wounds like they're badges of honor, that turns heartbreak into hunger. This is the you that doesn't chase because you attract. You don't beg because you command. You don't explain because you embody. And now when they watch you, they don't see the person they used. They see the version that survived them and that haunts them. They wanted you small. They needed you dependent. They fed off your guilt. They relied on your need for closure. But you outgrew all of it. You burned the bridge, watched the ashes rise, and built a dam castle from the char. This is psychological warfare. You gave them nothing to feed on. No reactions, no validation, no second chances. Just silence. And that silence is screaming in their soul. Because users don't feel regret when they lose you. They feel regret when they lose the benefits. So you keep going, head high, spine straight, heart armored. You keep building, keep sharpening, keep moving, because the new you doesn't look back. You're not a pit stop on someone else's ego trip. You're the destination. You're not a supporting character in their life story. You're the author of your own, and every chapter they were in was just build up to your breakout. So thank them, not out loud, in your mind. Thank them for the betrayal, the ghosting, the manipulation, because without it, you would have never awakened. You'd still be tolerating the bare minimum. You'd still be justifying disrespect. But now, you've tasted your own power. You've stared into the abyss and walked out smiling. You're not the same. You're better, colder, sharper, more intentional. And as you step forward, you carry a new rule in your soul. If they don't match my peace, they don't get my presence. This is your era of reclamation, of dominance, of relentless self-respect. You're no longer interested in fixing people who broke you. You're no longer interested in proving your worth to the blind. You're not healing for them. You're healing for you, because the greatest revenge is becoming everything they were afraid you would. Free, focused, fearless. They don't miss you. They miss the benefits. But those expired permanently. You're not mad. You're not bitter. You're just done. And when a warrior is done, They become unstoppable. This is your time. This is your transformation. This is where the game changes. Forever. Now go, and make them regret ever thinking you were weak.